Shraga Jameson lives in Johannesburg, South Africa, with his wife and children.
My wife and I unfortunately lost a child. He was 9 months old, and we weren't in a good shape. We were really not good at all. By that stage, we thought we were Lubavitches. We davened every day in Torah Academy. We went to Shirim with Lubavitch people giving the Shirim, but we still didn't really know what it meant. And my parents offered to send us to the Rebe. I'd never been. So we went. We arrived at the Rebe a week before Shavuos 1990. That Sunday, we went to Doble for the first time. My wife went first, and I wasn't with her. And a short while later, I went past the Rebe. And I went to look for my wife. I found her standing outside the old Tzivos Hashem building, and she was very upset and miserable. She'd come to the Rebe hoping that the Rebe would be mechazik her. And the Rebe had given her $1, and I don't know whether he said anything to her, didn't say anything to her. She didn't remember him saying anything to her. It was like she'd come for nothing. And I found her outside the old Tzivos Hashem building, and she said to me, she says she doesn't know why she came here. She felt so much closer to the Rebe in Johannesburg than she feels here. We went home and we were friendly with Menachem Munich. Menachem said, listen, next week Sunday you'll go for dollars again, but you'll go together as a mishpacha, as a family. Fine. And we're staying with Rabbi Goldman's parents. And Mrs. Goldman said to us, listen, write a letter to the Rebbe and tell him what you hear, what's the story. I'd never written to the Rebbe before. So my wife wrote this letter, and she wrote a letter that described the two things that were really uncomfortable in our life. The first was obviously the loss of our child and the matzav that we found ourselves in. And the second was the fact that my mother-in-law had been a single mom for the past 10 or 11 years, and she was very lonely and very unhappy. And we wanted, a bracha from the Rebbe, some way to deal with the loss of our child, and the second, some way to help my mother-in-law get past this thing. Anyway, the following Sunday we went to Dollars again, but this time we went, my wife, my daughter and I, and Menachem's wife Goldie happened to be standing in the queue behind me. So we came past the Rebbe, my wife walked in front, and the Rebbe gave her $1 and didn't say anything. And I thought, oh, all over again.
Shraga Jameson from South Africa sind verloren in der Zeit zurück. Oder vom Krieg schon. Come here. Those are the where they were.
Double personal blessing. Same for you.
The Shavuos came and went, and we left. And on the way back, my wife was feeling terrible. And we went via Eretz Yisrael. We went to spend a week in Eretz Yisrael, and a friend of ours, his husband, came to fetch us from the airport, and my wife was feeling dreadfully sick. And she wasn't feeling well the whole time we were in Eretz Yisrael. When we got back to Johannesburg, I said, for goodness sake, go and see the doctor. And the doctor said, what are you miserable about? You are, Baruch Hashem, expecting a child. So the first half of the bracha. But the other half of the bracha is that when we arrived in Johannesburg, my mother-in-law came to fetch us at the airport with a man that she met on the Sunday evening that we went to Dollars Sunday late morning. So at exactly that time, and Baruch Hashem, they've been married for the last 22, 23 years.